first-degree murder charges laid in relation to the baby who was killed in a Vaughan neighborhood.
With the sirens and everything. We knew something was going on, but not quite something as shocking as this.
Neighbors come to grips with the devastating investigation. We'll take you back to the crime scene.
I heard a loud bang and someone started screaming.
Plus, a car crashes into a home, injuring 5 people. Why gas lines had to be shut off for the entire townhouse complex, while authorities cleaned up the aftermath.
To see it, to smell the fumes, to watch this, it's insane. It's so much fun, and that's what this trade show is all about.
And celebrating chopper culture, what keeps the engine revving at Toronto's largest, longest-running, and best-attended motorcycle show. But we begin with a live look at College subway station, where earlier tonight a man was stabbed in the stairwell. It happened just after 7 during the busy Friday night rush. You can see police officers are still there on scene. Now, trains bypassed the station for the investigation, and here's more on what happened from Toronto Police.
We received reports that a victim was stabbed in the neck, an adult male. We also received reports that there was an altercation between the suspect and the victim prior to the stabbing. The victim got stabbed and he got on board a TTC train, and then his friend actually reported it to us shortly after.
The man was taken to hospital with non-life-threatening injuries, and police don't have anyone in custody at this hour, but officers say there's no threat to the public. The suspect is described as a man wearing a black hoodie, black Adidas track pants, along with white and red shoes. Taking you back again tonight to Vaughan. A first-degree murder charge has now been laid in connection to the death of a baby. We were live at the scene last night as police started their investigation at a home near Dufferin and Highway 407. Ali Chiasson spent the day gathering more reaction from neighbors and has updates on the police investigation.
The neighborhood near Dufferin and Centre Street is rocked by what happened in this home on Wade Gate.
Last night we heard a lot of the cars come through. The police was charging through the street with the sirens and everything. So we knew something was going on, but not quite something as shocking as this.
They were responding to a 911 call that someone made from inside the house.
We received an injured person call at a residence near Centre Street and Dufferin Street in Vaughan.
That injured person was an infant who was rushed to hospital where they were pronounced dead.
Our homicide unit was initially engaged, as they always are, for anything involving a child under the age of 5, injury or death, and since has now charged somebody with first-degree murder. We are not looking for any other suspects. As you can imagine, this is a very sad and sensitive incident, and so there are some details that we won't be releasing at this time.
Neighbors tell us a young married couple live at the home. Police won't say who they've charged with first-degree murder.
It's not going to be an easy investigation for everyone, given the age of the child and the nature of this incident.
Cases like these are also very traumatic for first responders to experience, and this is something Vaughan Mayor Stephen Del Duca touched on in his statement, saying, quote, "I want to extend my heartfelt thanks to all of the first responders who responded to this tragedy. They face unimaginable challenges every single day while serving our community, and they have not only our gratitude, but our most profound respect."
We do have victim services that we've made available to the family and to anyone that's been directly involved, and also not just for the families, but for the responding officers.
The cause of death won't be confirmed until an autopsy is performed in the coming days. Ali Chiasson, CBC News, Vaughan.
Next to a scary scene at a North York townhouse, a car crashed into the home while people were inside. 5 people were injured, and gas to the entire complex had to be cut. Dale Manukduk shows us what happened.
This was the scene last night shortly after a car crashed into a townhome. Hazard lights flickering from inside the living room.
It is fully in a living space. Yes, you would consider that to be a garage almost at this point.
The crash echoed through the neighborhood just before midnight last night.
So, I mean, I guess the sound from the TV sort of distorted it a bit, but it was loud.
I heard a loud bang and someone started screaming. I went to the balcony and saw that someone crashed.
This man watched the aftermath unfold from his 13th floor balcony using binoculars.
I saw someone was dragging somebody in white t-shirt out of the townhouse. I presume that he was the one of the tenants, and he was really limping. He wasn't able to put his weight on his left leg.
5 people were sent to hospital. Officials say 3 were inside the Tesla and 2 others inside the home. 3 have since been released. 1 person sustained serious but non-life-threatening injuries. The crash caused a gas leak, which resulted in gas lines being shut off for the entire townhouse complex. Getting the Tesla safely out of the living room was a challenge.
We don't want to cause any further damage to the building on it collapsing, and due to the fact that it is a Tesla, we don't know if there's been any damage to the battery pack below because we were not able to get in and get a good look at it.
Engineers were brought in to assess the situation, construction workers as well, to reinforce the basement before any moves were made. Eventually, Toronto police were able to gently pull the car out of the living room and get it onto a flatbed. The front end of the Tesla was destroyed, covered in debris and missing tires. 1 person has been charged under the Highway Traffic Act. Dale Manukduk, CBC News, Toronto.
Another emotional day at a courthouse in London, Ontario. It was the second day of victim impact statements in the sentencing hearing for Nathaniel Veltman. He's the man convicted of killing 4 members of a Muslim family just out for a walk in 2021. Today, the lone survivor of the attack, an 11-year-old boy, spoke of his heartache after losing his parents, sister, and grandmother. Thomas Dagla has more.
To hear from young students describing their grief, the Islamic school at this London mosque hasn't been the same for 2.5 years. Ever since the school lost a student, Yumna, killed alongside her parents and grandmother, run down by an avowed white nationalist in his pickup truck. Yumna's young brother was seriously injured.
That heartbreak doesn't really go away. So what I hope is people across the country, across the nation can get a glimpse of that.
Today, inside the courtroom, the surviving boy's words were spoken by his cousin, delivering the 11-year-old's own victim impact statement, the boy's first public comments since his family's murder. "The offense has made me very sad," he wrote. "I can't talk to my family anymore and make new memories with them. The offense caused me to break one of my legs and fracture my collarbone."
We hope that the sentencing will, take a strong action to make sure this is clear, that, terrorism of this nature will not be tolerated in our community.
The child's young schoolmates read their own emotional victim impact statements, with one boy telling court, "Some people are going to hate us for who we are, and this guy showed it to all of us." The convicted murderer, Nathaniel Veltman, sat in the courtroom expressionless. All of it part of the sentencing process that could still see his attack formally labeled terrorism.
We're going to hope to persuade the judges this was not an act of terrorism, that it was an act that was predicated on his mental deficits.
Downstairs at that school in London, a part of Yumna Afzal lives on. The mural she painted herself, urging fellow students to shoot for the moon. She and her family are missed by many, their loved ones' pain resonating in court. Thomas Dagla, CBC News, Toronto.
A man and a woman have been charged in connection with a fatal shooting in the city's East End last month. Police say on December 22nd, just after 11:30 p.m. near Woodbine and Danforth, there was an altercation between a group of men and one man was shot. The victim died in the hospital. He's been identified as 45-year-old Adam Palermo. 2 suspects are now in custody. 27-year-old David Wilfred has been charged with second-degree murder, while 23-year-old Angelica Cunha has been charged with accessory after the fact. In provincial politics, one of the Ford government's top priorities this year will be moving ahead with its proposed Highway 413 across the northwestern edge of the GTA. There are still plenty of hurdles before construction can begin, and one of them is a tiny frog. Our senior reporter at Queen's Park, Mike Crawley, explains.
Meet the western chorus frog. Fully grown, it's only about the size of your thumb. It's not always easy to spot a chorus frog, so the best way to know if they're around is by listening for them.
During mating season, right after the snow melts, the call of the male chorus frog sounds a bit like when you ripple the teeth of a comb. It prefers to breed in small, shallow, seasonal ponds, and it's on Canada's list of species at risk, classed as threatened.
Certainly habitat loss is a big factor. Many of these temporary ponds are not highly valued or thought of as being important habitats, so they're often the first kind of habitat that gets drained and developed.
On the outskirts of Montreal's suburbs, the presence of western chorus frogs halted a housing development and road construction. Researchers have found the threatened frog along the proposed route of Highway 413.
Western chorus frogs, though, are particularly sensitive to changes in the quality of their environment, which no doubt Highway 413, no matter how many really, positive mitigation measures you take, it will have an impact on the aquatic environment.
The highway would run for nearly 60 kilometers across the northwestern edges of the GTA. The Ford government has yet to say how much it will cost, but some estimates put it near $10 billion.
We need to build this infrastructure. It's good for the economy, it's good for jobs, and most importantly, it's going to give more people time back in their day.
The Trudeau government has ordered the project to face a federal environmental assessment. The Ford government has launched a court case to try to quash that.
We're going to make sure that we follow environmental protections that we have very vigorously put in place, but it's our priority to build 413.
The battle between Ottawa and the province over who gets final say on the highway is expected to make its way through the courts this year. Mike Crawley, CBC News, Toronto.
And a live shot overlooking Toronto tonight. -1, feeling like -4. Victor Paulo has our first look at the forecast. And Victor, a little less cold this evening, especially when compared to last night and this morning.
Chris, not only was it cold, you were right, it was a very cold start to our day. But as we do get closer towards the weekend, the good news, all that cold is behind us. But as we did discuss, it is going to be a snowy weekend here in the GTA. We're expecting some snow to fall all the way from Saturday after supper, and it should be all said and done by the time you reach your Monday. Now, as mentioned, cloudy skies, snowy weather, and chilly nights is going to lead up to us experiencing average temperatures around 1.6, -1.6 is your average high, and -9.8 is your average low. And we do have that snow coming off the Colorado low that's going to be taking its way all the way to the GTA, and it's going to land right around supper time. Now, we do take a look at exactly what your overnight will look like. Well, your overnight is going to be cloudy, but it won't be as cold as it was last night. Now, looking at our 3-day forecast, as mentioned, Saturday, Sunday will bring some snow, but your Monday will bring some sunshine. Make sure to stay tuned to Chris and I see what else is in store for the rest of your 3- and 7-day forecast.
You betcha. Thank you, Victor. Turning now to some PWHL action, and Toronto's second game of the inaugural season went ahead tonight. Toronto looking for a win against New York after losing to the team in Game 1, 4-0.
Take the shot, save, they score! Emma Malte puts Toronto on top.
A very different story tonight, though. Emma Malte scoring the winning goal about 13 minutes into the third. She scored a hard-to-defend, short-handed goal. Natalie Spooner and Alexa Vasco also scored for Toronto. The team trumps New York 3-2. We're about a month away until the NHL's biggest names come to our city for the NHL AllStar Weekend. It'll be the first time in 24 years that Toronto hosts the big showcase. Leafs center Austin Matthews will represent Toronto. He's one of the 32 players selected to participate. Greg Ross has all the details.
Huge deal.
Why?
We love hockey in Toronto.
It'd be awesome to see Connor Bedard, too.
Rookie sensation Connor Bedard was just one of the players selected this week to take part in the All-Star Weekend. Others on that list include the Edmonton Oilers' Connor McDavid, veteran Sidney Crosby of the Pittsburgh Penguins, and the Leafs' own Austin Matthews.
Yeah, it's cool. I mean, it's a big honor to be selected, and with it being in Toronto, it's I think extra special and extra cool.
It's been nearly a quarter of a century since the last time Toronto hosted an NHL All-Star Weekend back in 2000. A lot has changed since then. We are underway. These days it's expanded from 2 teams to 4. Players competing in the skills competition can win $1 million prize. and they will once again have a draft to select teams, something that was first done in 2011 when Phil Kessel, who was with the Leafs at the time, was awarded a car for being selected last.
I do remember the Phil Kessel thing, though, with the car. That was funny.
Scotiabank Arena will host the draft on Thursday, February 1st. The skills competition is slated for Friday the 2nd, and all games will be played on Saturday, February 3rd. In addition to the 3 events happening here at Scotiabank Arena on AllStar Weekend, there are other events happening around the city, including a massive fanfare just down the street at the Convention Center. 32 players have already been selected by the league to take part in the AllStar Weekend. 12 more players will be voted in by the fans. Voting is already underway on the NHL website and will be open until January 11th. Greg Ross, CBC News, Toronto.
Returning now with an exciting event for motorcycle enthusiasts in our region. For its 48th year, the Motorcycle Show is back at the International Center in Mississauga. It's 3 days packed with daredevil stunts and some pretty cool bikes as well. Anam Khan has the story.
Motorcycle enthusiasts are revved up for the biggest event in town. A display of gleaming motorbikes and all kinds of flips and tricks.
So entertaining. So entertaining. Has me on the edge of my seat the whole time.
The Motorcycle Super Show kicked off today at the International Center, where riders across North America are showcasing their daredevil skills and their love for the art. Like Christian Martinez from Montreal.
I've been doing freestyle for 20 years. I'm 39 and I took it seriously when I turned 30. When I turned 30, I had a midlife crisis. I was like, you said all this stuff when you were 20, in your 20s, now it's time to do these things.
And he was kind enough to take me for a ride. Okay, I'll let you hold the mic then.
Okay.
Okay, this goes, oh God.
Just hold the buckles like
hold
this.
Hold that, the mic.
Oh God. Is that good?
Nice,
yeah. Riders came from all walks of life. Some you may even recognize, like Keith Sayers, who was in the family plan with Mark Wahlberg.
I was one of the bad guys trying to kill him, and he swerves and hits me with a minivan, and I go through a billboard.
The Montana native has been coming here for over a decade.
It can bring me so much happiness, and then even the fans sitting in the crowd watching as well.
Some stunts are a staple at the show, like the Wall of Death, where motorcycles drive up in a barrel-shaped cylinder, do tricks, and even interact with the audience. Okay, what did you think about the show just now?
It was sick.
It got me dizzy.
Organizers say the event grows every year.
To see it, to smell the fumes, to watch this, it's insane. It's so much fun, and that's what this trade show is all about.
He's expecting 60,000 people during the 3-day event. Keogh says while the pandemic disrupted supply for the bikes, the trade show is back in full business.
More performances like this throughout the weekend. Anam Khan, CBC News, Toronto.
What a great assignment. A Toronto man believes he's set a new world record for completing the most marathons in a year. Ben Pobjoy ran and walked 242 marathons, beating the previous record by 3 held by an American. The Guinness Book of World Records is in the process of confirming those results, and we had an opportunity to speak with him today.
Overall, I did almost 11,500 kilometers by foot and flew close to, I believe, 140,000 kilometers. Hi there, my name is Ben Pobjoy, and I've just completed the Marathon Earth Challenge, which was doing 242 marathons around the world in 2023. Over the last few years, I've developed this long distance skill of doing marathons, and I really wanted to put it to the test. And the catalyst, I think, for me was the pandemic, which kind of upended the world, changed the world as we knew it, and prevented travel. And threw caution to the wind and did this project. These were one pair of running shoes that I think kind of capture how bald the soles get, so you're kind of slipping and sliding. My approach to marathoning is quite unique. I've kind of self-defined it as a freestyle marathon, which essentially is just doing around 43 kilometers through an urban city or through a countryside or hills or mountains. And for me, it's pretty much like the best creative medium for documenting the human condition and speaking with people, because it is a marathon, but I also like to carry a camera and shoot photos and write about it. I'm kind of like this human snail where everything I need is on my back. So my speed is kind of like a slow trot, because on this project, I was doing up to 5 marathons a week. nearly like 220 kilometers. So the whole physical approach is go slow so you can go far. I did this project to go experience the world in like a very intimate way, and a piece of paper would be nice on the fridge that officializes that, but I'll have the memories for a lifetime. United Arab Emirates and India.
Last word tonight, over to you, Victor, for a look at the long-range forecast and what's ahead for our weekend.
Taking a look at the map of North America here, we'd just like to note one thing. We can see that a lot of southeastern Ontario, which was very blue earlier this week, is turning more green. And that's why we're going to be experiencing a little bit of above seasonal temperatures for the next upcoming days. Now, speaking of temperatures, when it comes to tonight, what are we going to be expecting? Well, I'll take a step to the side and let you know. It's going to be -4, feeling like -7. If you do take a look behind me, that's the increased cloud cover we're expecting over the Greater Toronto area. Now, here's how much snowfall we're going to be expecting to fall between, let's say, now and Sunday. Well, we're only expecting anywhere between 5 to 10 centimeters. As you can see, a lot of the majority of the area here is around that 7.5 mark, but there are some areas which are closer to the 15, and there are some areas which are closer to the 5. So you want to make sure if you do have plans to go anywhere this weekend, you are making sure you're planning around that big snowfall that's coming starting around 3 o'clock on Saturday. It should be all said and done, wrapped up closer to your start of your day on Monday. Now, here's what's happening and why that snow's coming. As you can see, that system coming off the Colorado low that's working its way over here to the GTA that'll be starting right around supper time. And if we just slow that down and show you exactly what the breakdown looks like, here's what it's going to be for your Saturday morning. And right around 3 o'clock when that snow starts, it's going to be lasting all the way through, as you can see here, into about the overnight Sunday morning. But the good thing about Sunday is it starts to break down and it turns into more of the scattered flurry variety for the majority of your day as it lasts through till about Monday. But looking at our 3 and 7 day forecast, a couple things to note. We do have that snow coming on Saturday and Sunday, and we talked about that sunshine's return on Monday. But here's what's in store for your Tuesday and your Wednesday. Some more precipitation, but when it comes to your Thursday and Friday, hey, guess what? The return of the sun. Hope you guys have yourselves a beautiful rest of your weekend, and over to you, Chris.
You have a great weekend too, Victor. Thank you. And that is our show for you tonight. Thanks so much for